Well, good evening, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen around the world. It is once again time for the WADcast, episode number 61. This is the Writers, Actors, Writer podcast, and all those jobs on a set in between that help bring all of your favorite entertainment to life. We celebrate it. We talk about it. That's pretty much it. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined, as always, by Mr. Sleepyhead Poo Poo Pants, Brandon.
What is up?
It is Friday, August 20th, 2021, aka CM Punk Day, for all of you wrestling fans out there. We'll see if the prophecy comes to fruition later on tonight. But that's not what this show is about. This show is about writers, actors, and directors. I suppose it would fall under acting. How have you been, Brandito Burrito?
No, good. Just a little burnout. Not sleeping much because I'm working so much, and kind of like just everything's happening. But aside from that, pretty good. Just always busy. What about you?
The day job went back into full effect, and it seems like it's going to be one of those years. And I got to admit, some of my coworkers are a little on the, I don't know what the word is, but they're like, did you hear things might close down again? And I'm like, but you live in Florida. Okay, we live in Florida.
Oh yeah, you guys aren't closing down anytime soon.
Florida's going to stay open until the last man goes down.
Well, you guys are like the hotspot for everything right now, aren't you?
The hotspot for everything. It's the hottest spot in the nation, man. Florida's where it's at.
I'm talking about with COVID.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
So it's like, it's like the epicenter of it's all a hoax and everything else, and whatever.
And
freedom. Yeah. You know what? I'm a fan of Darwin. I'm a fan of Darwinism.
I don't like when Darwin takes out innocent bystanders that are actually doing what they need to do to help the cause.
Yeah, fair enough. Everyone's got their own thing. Wear a mask, don't wear a mask. It is what it is. It is a shame this whole thing has become so politicized. So, and it's not just in the United States. It's in numerous countries where people are like, "Oh my God, a mask is oppression."
No, it's pretty much just the United States.
It's happening in England. It's happened in Ireland. It's happened pretty much anywhere where there's fellow white people.
Yeah, England.
Sorry, guys.
Does seem to follow into the footsteps of the U.S. from time to time.
Yeah. So, but either way, like I said, that's all I can do is all I can say is I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope everyone's being as safe as possible. But like I said, it's become so politicized that just talking about COVID-19 these days is like talking about conservatives or liberals, Democrats, Republicans, Christianity versus Islam, and all. It's become the same grounds. So it is what it is. But
well, at least it isn't what it isn't.
Yeah, I just let people talk. That's it. When it comes to that, I just let them beat their chest and let them get it out. And then I just tell them listen, if you have any reservations, then you can always use some volunteers in the medical field. But when I do that, I was just saying.
And all I'm saying is, if you are someone that doesn't believe that COVID is dangerous, and if you don't believe that people should get vaccinated or wear masks, if you're one of these people and you catch it and you need very extensive medical treatment, just do us all a favor and don't get it.
Yeah, say the best for someone that actually like needs it, like I don't know, like cancer patients or you know people
Save it for
who.
someone that actually gives a damn about not only themselves but the people around them.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so coming off of the whole COVID talk though, because people are going to listen to this episode and they're going to think that we're like, if you're a new listener, this is not a political show. There are politics involved with everything, of course, even like filmmaking, but it's just not one of those shows.
Yeah,
So all I
we're
can
not going
say
to do a
is,
deep dive into it or anything like that.
yeah, all I can say is enjoy your freedom, do your thing. There's whatever conspiracies and like do what you want. Just, I will say that, yeah, you know what? And actually, it kind of falls in line with what we're going to be talking about on the show today. But if you see someone wearing a mask, do them a favor. Don't criticize them. 9 times out of 10, it's a courtesy for other people. It's not like it's a personal belief of theirs. So they're doing for themselves and for their community, and they get chastised all the time. If you go into a business without a mask and they ask you to leave, do them a favor and leave. You know, it's not oppression; it is policy for that store. But yeah, and that falls into pretty much what we're going to talk about tonight's episode with beating chests and not being able to take it or like being overly critical. So Josh, you want to talk about the episodes about tonight?
Hold on, we got a comment.
Uh, yeah, bitches.
Okay, tonight's episode. Well, in this day and age, the 21st century, everybody has a platform, whether we like it or not. By the way, I'm going to use our platform here to say hello to the lizard overlords. But
And Amber
everybody
keeps
has.
it PG. Well, at least two people here keep it PG or PG-13, and
Mhm.
that's not me.
No, it's not.
No, far from it. But
But
hello, lizard overlords.
since everybody has a platform, that means everybody has a voice. And people, for some stupid reason, believe everybody's voice should be able to be heard equally on all matters. Whether you're a movie fan that just likes to talk about, the movies you like, or whether you're an armchair scientist that thinks you understand better than certain official agencies that are filled with top-notch scientists. Uh, Everyone has the ability to get their opinion out into the world.
Oh, yeah.
But what we're going to talk about tonight is how to differentiate between the things that you should listen to, the things that you shouldn't listen to, and the the criticism of what is, at the end of the day, your art. So I'm gonna kick things off with a little bit of news. Over the last month, I'd say Brandon and I had a project submitted to a festival, and we got some notes back. This is something that was put together by a professional, right? Professional. I'm not going to go into what the notes were. That's not what this is. But that right there is the key difference between the 10% versus the 90% of the criticism you're going to see when it comes to anything.
Yep.
We got some honest professional feedback, while not 100% accurate. Nobody is. Uh, we, we know the project, and they missed a few. Anyway, this is, again, not the point. Most of the things you're going to see online are going to be things that are put out there by what's the proper term? The layperson?
Yes, I would say inexperienced people with very strong opinions.
Now we've already discussed, at length how people can somehow formulate opinions on something they've never seen. Now this is more along the lines of people that form an opinion without having any sort of education to go with it. It's fair when you're talking about something to say I didn't like it. Why? I don't know. I just didn't like it. You know what? That's your honest opinion, right?
Yep.
You can say you don't like something, but when you're actually quantifying something in its level of quality, like, oh, I don't know, somebody saying Batman versus Superman is the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, Tyler.
That is not something that is remotely true. And of course, it goes all the way to the other end. If someone's like, this is the worst thing ever, it's mostly hyperbole. And quite frankly, it does nothing for anybody. How is an artist that is writing, acting, directing, or whatever supposed to go through comments like that about the thing they love, the thing they created, and figure out what is the constructive criticism? It's easy when they say your project is trash. Now, while I've made it clear, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's DC movies, not at all, none of them. But I'm not going to sit here and say they're trash because that's not constructive. That's not beneficial to anybody. If for some reason Zack Snyder is listening to the show or reading my comments in a movie group online, it's not going to add to the discussion about what is the art form that is film and television.
Yeah, and I will add to that, like, if Zack Snyder is listening ever to this episode, and he makes it this far into the episode without turning it off, Zach, I very much enjoyed what you do with Man of Steel. I wish you would have done something different than a 20,000-year-old Superman suit. And Kevin Costner telling Clark not to save him so the town would not know that he was quote unquote special. Even though, as a kid he pulled an entire bus out of a lake with his bare hands in front of everybody. But that's the only criticism I've got to. That's the only criticism I got to give you, man. So I've said my piece.
Are you done kissing his butt now?
Well, yeah, it's not really kissing his butt because, like, I mean, I will say, Zach. I mean, like that Army of the Dead. What the hell, dude? Prego zombies, like again? Okay. There, I've said it.
All right.
Zombies have sex. Thank you, Zach, for that. But go ahead.
I think anybody that's been on the internet for longer than 10 minutes understands that if you can film it, there's this a sex version of it.
I mean, there was zombie strippers, but no, like, I mean, I would assume like a more serious medium in filmmaking with like, well, you know what, we'll get into it later on, but that's not the episode. Not the episode. But right. Zach, you have my critiques there, Bubba. So, okay, I'm sorry, Josh. Continue.
When I was growing up, and a young lad, not a wee lad, but a young lad, we had very few actual um, access points to film criticism, right? You had your local movie reviewer that would wind up in the in the newspaper. You could flip on
Yep.
the TV and say see Siskel and Ebert at the movies,
Yep.
and every once in a while, you'll see some show with some person reviewing a movie, and what you'll notice is that these people that are considered professional have all basically done the same thing. They they take their personal experiences and break it down in a way that comes off as they know what they're talking about. Now, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that they're not good at what they do because, after all, they were getting paid pretty good to watch movies and then talk about it before it was a thing, on the internet,
Oh, yeah.
before everybody started doing it. And what you never heard them say is things along the lines of personal attacks on directors or actors when it comes to the things they're watching.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see, Roger Ebert talking about Aquaman and be like, Amber Heard, wow, what a bitch.
Yeah.
Not professional. And of course, that's one of my pet peeves when it comes to the democratization of reviews. When everybody has the ability to add their voice, there are so many people shouting so loudly, just nonsense. Their opinions of films being jaded by personal politics or personal feelings towards somebody involved with the project.
Oh yeah. Like I mean, Clerks 3 is wrapping production right now, and with for we mentioned you people before. For the layperson, Clerks 3 is the final entry in a now trilogy of movies by Kevin Smith in his Viewers universe, as he calls it. Um, but because of Masters of the Universe, any article I see with Clerks 3, any post I see Kevin Smith make on either Instagram or wherever, people are saying stuff like he ruined his credibility by promoting Masters of the Universe. Like he got too quote unquote woke. They couldn't take the wokeness of Jay and Silent Bob's reboot, so they're not going to watch Clerks 3. Like, okay, did you really watch Jay and Silent Bob's Jay and Silent Bob's reboot? Wasn't a whole lot woke about it. It touches on the difference between generations, but I guess because there's women involved, it's got to be woke. Like I'm sorry, but while you're attacking this man, just remember, I'm sure you guys were all gung ho about Princess Leia wearing her little metal bikini and choking out Jabba the Hutt with a chain. Was it woke if she did that because it's a woman, or did it count because it was Star Wars? She was kind of a badass in the original series.
That reminds me real quick of the story of one of the parents that wanted to get the slave Leia outfit banned from like the action figures.
Yeah.
And they asked the question like, uh, "What do I tell my child when they see this?" and, and basically, what it amounted to was, "Tell them what happened to Jabba. He got murdered."
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I mean, he was Jabba the Hutt's exotic dancer, so it also empowered women in the exotic dancing industry right there.
And unfortunately, strangulations in strip clubs went up 2,000% after that movie came out.
You know, some people have needs. Besides, if a woman was strangling me while she was wearing the slave Leia bikini, I'll tell you right now, I would do my very best Jabba the Hutt impersonation. Because I would just assume I'm hanging out with another Star Wars fan. No, but the thing is, like, I mean, yeah, like with this criticism and everything else these days, the internet has given everyone a voice. And as I said before, and there's a meme going around that says the same thing, it has also empowered people to say things that they would normally get punched in the face in a heartbeat on the street over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, like even with writing, okay, Josh and I are we're in this group where we actually met one of our recurring guests, and we need to get her back on here, but Sue Swank. And she's a screenwriter. And we've actually discussed how harsh people are on one, like, she's no longer on it, so I'll talk about the group, but it's called Screenwriter Networking.
She's not on it?
No, she's no longer a member. She's in Premier Screen Network, I think it's called now. It's a different one. But she left Screenwriter Networking, as did a few other people. And they kind of like just migrate over to this other page. But you have people who are, to say novice writers would be an improvement. You have people that have no experience in writing, but you know what? It's like the way you get experience is by doing it. Like, I think, like, I mean, I can start painting something. I'm not a novice artist. I just someone that threw some shit on a canvas. And same with writing. Like, I mean, I'm not a novice writer until I actually like apply myself to learning the craft of writing, and then I can say I'm a novice writer. Otherwise, until then, I'm just a guy that puts some words on a page. But you have these people that, like, and they're curious. They're asking questions, and you have these, critics who, although they may be working in the field, something tells me most of them are not. That will callously just bash these people, like, in the most brutal ways. And I mean, I've even read a comment about like someone saying that they would prefer that person that wrote the script to lose their hands in an accident so they never have to write again. I look at this like, dude, really? Like, there's constructive criticism and there's being, an asshole. Like, we're not little kids anymore. Like, what is wrong with acting like civilized adults? Now, of course, this is coming from me, who enjoys inflicting those little mental daggers that, of insults that people don't realize I did until like 3 or 4 days later. I enjoy doing that. It's fun.
Oh yes, definitely. I know this for a fact.
But like, it's just like, you have these people that have zero experience. This one guy, I think, with going back to Masters of the Universe, you have people that are bashing this movie. I'm sorry, this series rather, and it's only one of a few seasons. I think there's like 2 or 3 more seasons coming out, but they're bashing it because it's too quote unquote woke. The ones bashing it because they were misled because of the appearance of He-Man being like the main focal point of the trailer. You know what? I understand that one. I get that. Like, that was a little bit of a misleading. They're both misleading trailers. You would think that He-Man had more to do with it. But the ones that are just like talking smack about the entire show. Oh, this series sucked. I only made it through like 1 episode. Like, well, then you can't say the series sucks. You can say you didn't like what you saw in that 1 episode. Well, no, I can tell trash when I see it. I'm like, well, I thought it was great. Well, you're not a He-Man fan. It's like, okay, tell me your favorite episode of He-Man. What? Tell me your favorite episode of He-Man and Masters of the Universe from the early 80s. What is your all-time favorite episode? What happened? Nothing. It's like, you know why? It was mediocre at best. Like, you're clinging to nostalgia that you don't even remember. You're defending it viciously by attacking something that decide to offer up a fresh story that people so often want to see that they say does not exist anymore. Well, we got one. You know, Josh, you saw the series, right?
No.
You have not seen it?
No, I have no interest in it.
Okay, then good. Spoiler alerts. He-Man and Skeletor both die in the first episode. So you have multiple episodes. Huh?
I had to do the thing.
What thing?
The banner crawl.
Okay, then go ahead and do the banner crawl. Thought you did. Okay. All right. Spoiler alert. He-Man and Skeletor die in the first episode. He-Man sacrifices himself by destroying something. I'm not going to get too much into it. It happens at the very end of the first episode. So he sacrifices himself and Skeletor in tow to make sure that Skeletor cannot get his hands on the Power Sword or on the Sword of Power, whatever the hell it's called. Which leaves what's her face, She-Ra. I think the character's name is Lena or whatever. It's bear with me, guys. I'm still like getting back into functioning mode here. But it leads her to take the leads for the series, because now the sword split in two pieces. Half of it is in the underworld, and the other half is in the realm of champions, which is, I guess, heaven. So she has to travel to both. In the underworld, she has to fight Skeletor's new form to get the sword. Then she has to go up and she has to get the sword from He-Man, or I'm sorry, Prince Adam, rather, from the realm of heroes, or whatever the hell it's called. He-Man decides to go back into, he decides to come back, and pretty much now he takes up his form. He merges the two swords together and he saves Eternia, but then as he raises the swords and says, by the power of Grayskull, I have the power, Skeletor appears because he too also went back. And he stabs Prince Adam through the chest before he can say, I have the power, takes the sword from him, and then he says, by the power of Grayskull, and he becomes Skelegod. And that is how the series ends. But you have enemies of this franchise that are working together to save Eternia. You know, that is a story I have never seen in any He-Man episode ever. I remember quite a few of them. I don't remember, like, Evil Lynn working with anyone to try to save Eternia. Struggling with her, actually finding out that she does in fact care about the heroes in the series. Like learning about how she felt more trapped by Skeletor than anything else. These are stories between Lena and Evelyn that we actually get to see as like a side quest to a story that we've never been told before. But you have people tearing this series apart. And you have all these little wannabe critics talking about how their childhood is ruined. Like, guys, if your childhood is ruined by this, you must have a pretty sad adulthood. But these same people also criticize, these are the same people that, and I've seen them in screenwriter networking, who have accused writers of being too woke. You can't make it in Hollywood unless you're a diehard liberal. You can't make it in Hollywood unless you are supportive of Marxism, socialism, and whatever other big scary words that they can think of that they don't know the definitions to. So instead of actually being constructive, and even talking about like what it is in fact that they do or do not like, or what they wish was different, you'll never see that. It's just an attack, beating chests and everything else, and I guess trying to be funny by being a bunch of assholes, basically.
That comment was trash.
What comment?
Everything you just said, trash.
No, that's fine. And you know, I'm going to use my one of this episode. You can kindly go fuck yourself.
See, personal attacks. That means you don't have an argument to defend yourself. Trash.
Well, no, I didn't respond with a laugh emoji. If I said laugh emojis are like a blanket of security where like that's pretty much someone giving away the fact that they were humiliated. But no. I mean, like that's pretty much what I'm getting to though. It's like it's just like you have people that are bashing people, but then what it comes down to is how do you take criticism like that? Like, I mean, like it's, do you just realize that these people are just, you know, loud mouths with a keyboard? And not even loud mouths, just, I don't know, busy fingers with a keyboard without a whole lot of substance? Or do you fall prey to, I guess, I don't know, like feeling less about yourself because someone told you that you're no good?
Oh man, oh man. On Sunday, on Josh's World, I'll be doing a deep dive into the world of online arguing, and you know it's funny because this kind of sets that up nicely. But that is the question when you're an artist, isn't it? How do you know what to take seriously? If you're Zack Snyder, you just don't care because you're already paid, right? You can see people trash your movies, and it just slides off your back like a duck on water, or
Yeah,
the saying goes. So it's pretty much irrelevant. I mean, you get to a point where nothing, even a critic says, matters to you. But what if you're somebody that, I don't know, and I'm not saying he doesn't because I don't know, but what if you're someone that cares about what people think of your art? I can see, you know, quite a few maybe up and coming directors that, you know, take a look at the comments. When you might recall, we had writer and director Scott Christian Sava on the WADcast. Most notable for the film Animal Crackers.
Yes.
And one of the things, in fact, one of the reasons why we were able to book him is because he's, you know, one of the creators that are actually paying attention to social media and the buzz surrounding their project. So when I reached out, he was cool. And I have been saying watch Animal Crackers ever since. Not because he was a guest on the show, but because it was a good movie, and it still is a good movie. And I think
it's a good movie. He's down to earth. He was welcome to come on board. Like he was happy to come on board to talk and hang out and just really shoot the shit for a little bit and discuss his project that he made from scratch. And even then, like, you know what? Even with that being the case, I remember I was talking to somebody about this, and it was someone in screenwriter networking. No. I'm sorry. No, it was in movie addiction. And even with that, there's a guy that comes on there and says, "Oh, that movie sucked." I'm like, "Well, I mean, yeah, it might have sucked." He's like, "Well, yeah, I could have done something better." I was like, "I highly doubt you could have done anything anywhere near as good as what Scott put together." And for one big thing is the fact that you're a loudmouth, and Scott is actually a very humble person. Even with working with a bunch on his very first film project, his very first attempt at a movie. an all A-list cast with a movie that was top 10 on Netflix for a few weeks. I highly
Number
doubt someone else
one
could just come.
animated movie on Netflix for a long time.
But yeah, but like, but that still comes back to the point. Every time I come outside, I'm sorry, it's like every time. But it's just like one of those deals where you can't do that. And it's not that you're incapable of doing it, it's just that you're too busy bashing something instead of learning from it.
Mm-hmm.
Like Scott, he and his wife illustrated this book. I believe he did a large part. Didn't he say he did like a large part of that animation?
Yeah.
So
Long
sure,
story
anyone
short,
can do
dude's
that
an
if they
amazing
apply it.
artist.
Oh yeah, no, if you I think Scott Silva Art on Instagram, you'll see him posting up his watercolor paintings and everything else. The man is extremely talented. He's a brilliant artist.
And if you go check out his work and want to leave a comment, tell him the WADcast guy sent you.
Yep. Yeah, I'll post his Instagram page on the Facebook page tonight. But yeah, it's But no, you have people bashing that movie. I'm like, well, listen, man, you can bash this movie all you want, but you let me know when you get Sylvester Stallone, Ian McKellen, what's his face, Jim from The Office, John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Danny DeVito. Just let me know when you get all these people together to come into one of your projects. Oh, they're all in it. It's like, well, yeah, but I thought that you saw the movie because you said it sucks.
Yeah, let us know when you get to direct Stallone doing Shakespeare.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, I had someone that I mentioned to Relish one time in the movie group, and someone told me that movie was horrible too. I'm like, well, you're allowed to have your opinions. Like, just as I'm like, I've watched it a few times, and I don't speak highly of it. So it's to kiss either Justin's ass or to kiss Brian's ass. Brian is a friend of mine. He was in it, of course, long before I met Brian. But the thing is I
both
talk
guys
highly
who have appeared on the podcast.
Yep. I talk highly of this movie because I think it's a very well done movie. And Justin actually did say he's open to coming back into the show sometime since he's back from his vacation now. So I've got to reach out to him and see if he'd like to come on one of these weeks. But yeah, the thing is like he's dealt with criticism himself because his background was working in UFC. That was his background.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this man in Texas, like people didn't really warm up to that movie, the way I understand it, but it still got made, and it still put him in a place where he could make Relish, which then put him in a place where he could make his more recent feature-length film. I mean, the guy's even the guy's doing it. Anyone can make a movie. Anyone can do it. You have to like know how to go about doing it, but it is possible. And I think once I'll say this, write a short script. Write a script for a short film. If you're going to criticize someone on how much something sucks, write something. Enter it into contest or hire a professional reader to read it. And get ready for a big, big, big slice of humble pie. You will find out that you may not be as talented as you think you are in that field. And you might respect the work that goes into things.
By the way, if you're interested in making a movie, you can listen to WADcast number 52, How to Make a Movie as Cheap as Humanly Possible.
But Ghostbusters 2016, Josh, you know my thoughts on that movie.
Oh yeah, everybody knows your thoughts on that movie.
Like, I hate it. It's a shit movie, and that's my opinion. But I'm not going to knock someone else for liking it, and that's something you see all the time. People attacking other people for liking something they didn't like. But but I don't like it because I don't feel like it respected the originals at all. But yeah, I've not watched a Paul Feig film since. Paul.
Now, I think you made a very interesting point. Yeah, and in fact, I'd say you threw down a very interesting challenge for those of you that haven't created a film or a script or anything of that nature. You know what? There are free screenwriting competitions out there you can enter, and there's a good chance you might have to throw down a few bucks to get an actual review of your script, because I don't think being outright rejected would send the proper message. So if you've never done this, but you think you can do better, then by all means get somebody with a background in this kind of thing to read something you write. I think if you did this and you received your notes about your story, sure, you might have a few things that are like, oh, your characters are good, or, hey, I like your pacing. But chances are, and I'm willing to bet, it won't be an absolutely glowing review across the board, no matter how, quote, naturally talented you are. So when you get the notes back, I want you to read them. I know, silly, right? Of course I'm going to read the notes. No, read them. Look at every word.
Yep.
Understand what it's like when there is a lot of thought put into every word of a communication, because that's what these people are doing to you. They are giving you as well and articulated thoughts as they can in as brief a period as possible. Now, when you read these words, I want you to think about the things that you write online when it comes to how you feel about anything. And note the probable extreme differences in style and technique. You see, someone that does this for work is going to be able to explain what the problems are and why there are issues. Whereas
Yep.
you, the armchair critic, are talking about gross generalizations and hyperbole and not doing anything at all to help the artist, the creator, whatever you want to call it. You're not adding to the equation, you're subtracting.
Absolutely.
And realize that you need to be more like the guy that's ripping your work apart in the nicest way possible, because that's what readers do. When they send you back notes, they're like, yeah, this is great, but
Oh yeah.
and you proceed to get shredded. Although there are some people that are so dense that they'll latch on to the only good things that are said and not understand the fact that there's criticism involved in the first place.
No kidding. It's yeah, and like with what we entered, um, what we entered into the contest, as Josh said, you know, I, in my honest opinion, and I think Josh agreed with me on this one. You know, there were some good points in it. There were actually very new, like a lot of good points in it. But there was one section of this scorecard that we got that didn't really seem like it. Didn't really seem like they had. I don't want to say didn't. I don't want to say that they didn't pay attention, but I feel like they might have missed something because something was they took something out of context. Best way to put it, and I think that reflected their views on it a little more. But in the first entry part of the script that we sent them, they touched on something with a fault of the main protagonist, and Josh and I agreed that we didn't really expand on that. It's just kind of like there. And it never really resurfaces in a problematic way, so there's really no way for him to overcome it. It's just kind of like part of the character, and it's just like left as, oh, it's whatever, it's a gag, but it's never really revisited as a gag. So yeah, I mean, there were things that are on point, and you're going to see the same thing. The very first time I ever entered a script into a contest, I got shredded. It was in 2007. I entered a script into a contest. I thought that was a shit. Like, I was, I'm my screenwriting teacher, like, Eve Martin. He loved my work. I was one of like the highest graded students in his class. According to him, the fastest, like the excelled the quickest. But I also already had experience in writing through my comic strip series 9 to 5 Workaholics. But so I was just ego out the ass, like with this, like, and it's, yeah, man, I'm awesome. Like, I got the scorecard back again, humble pie. It was a very, it was called a pretentious script. What do you call it? I didn't really research other names, so I left my name in there as the protagonist. I left other names in there too. And the guy said that if this was not a script based on like the writer's own experiences, then this writer has a very, very hard lesson coming when it comes to reality and attaching yours and your friends' names in every aspect, beefing yourselves up to be these awesome people that had zero likability. I'm like, ouch. Dialogue was not good. Like, I got shredded, but you know what? I took it to heart. I let it hurt me because it did hurt. No one likes being told that what they wrote sucks. And I decided to never write like that again.
I wouldn't know. I've never been told that.
Well, like I said, like you learn the hard way sometimes, and I learned pretty quickly. But yeah, but if you're going to do these contests, like, and I think honestly, again, I think that if you're going to be someone that's going to go and have your opinions on how a production is put together, then you know what? Have an educated opinion based on experience. They'll just like, I didn't like this, so this movie sucks, and if you like this movie, you suck too. Like, that's not criticism. That's just, again, beating your chest. It's someone that does not want to learn. It's someone that just wants to be right without having the education or the background experience.
Now, I just want to interject real quick. I'm not one that is quick to judge somebody based on the movies they like or don't like, but there is an exception, especially when a certain someone said Batman versus Superman is the greatest movie ever made. Not the greatest comic book movie ever made, but said, no, the greatest movie ever put to film anytime, any place. And it took a lot of self-control to say, you're not only wrong, you're stupidly wrong, and this is nowhere near true. If you want to say it's your favorite movie, hey, that's cool. People are allowed to like what they like. This is settled law. Judge John Hodgman, ruled over this a long time ago. But no, it is not in any universe. It is not. Yep. And that's the only time that I've really understood the point of judging someone based on what they like. And it was such an outlier that I feel I can be excused for it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, the thing is with that, though, is like, this is a guy that, okay, a little background of this person. This guy worships everything DC related. So much so that he vehemently disregards anything the MCU puts out. And let's be honest, when it comes to story and everything else, and I guess chronological storytelling, the MCU has it like DCEU beats drastically. Um, because like even in like what was it like? You have Batman in Batman vs Superman who hates Superman. If he doesn't hate him, he looks at him as an absolute threat. But Batman does in fact hate Superman in this movie. Has no respect for him, no nothing. Looks at him as a threat to the planets and everyone on it, and feels he has to be destroyed. In the movie, he says if there's even a what was it like a 1% chance that he could burn the world down, they had to treat it as an absolute certainty. But this whole movie, like Batman, like somehow that whole fight takes place, and Superman, who's just throwing Batman all over this abandoned building, they end up. There's no way that even with Bruce Wayne or Batman being a master strategist and everything else, there's no way that he could have strategized exactly where they would end up based on how much they were fighting. And there was really no reason for that fight to start anyway, because all Superman had to say was just the honest truth. Like, hey, Lex Luthor is pitting us against each other. He's got my mom locked up. He's going to kill her. I need your help. I was wrong about you. Boom, done. Probably would have been a little snarky attitude, but Batman would have probably not been as much of a dick. But all it took was for their moms to have the same name, and Batman having another flashback for the 100th time about his parents dying in slow motion, hearing his father say Martha, for him to say Martha will not die today. Then they're best friends, and then they're joking. Then he's all sad, like sadsies because Superman gets killed. Captain America's Civil War. Tony Stark and Captain America, that was built up. That was a long time coming. And it even remained, that hostility even remained throughout the follow-up of Infinity War. Tony Stark still did not like Captain America. Still had that animosity towards him, and that even continued to remain into the opening of Endgame. And Tony Stark did not squash anything until halfway through his last appearance in any of the movies. But that goes back to the storytelling aspect. The Batman vs Superman was not the greatest movie. He also believed that Justice League, the Whedon cut, was one of the greatest movies ever made. Come on, no. But no, it's what it comes down to is, when it comes to having an opinion, have an opinion. That's fine, have an opinion. But everyone has one. Everyone's going to have an opinion about something. The most important thing, though, is if you're on the receiving end of this opinion. Josh always has the closing messages and everything else. He always has the final say in the episode where he says, just you're the only one getting in your way. And that holds true for the same thing, because if someone's opinion of your work is going to cause you to not want to work in the industry ever again, then, it may not be meant for you. Because opinions are only going to get more harsh, and it won't just be from people that don't have any real ground to have that opinion with. This will come from industry professionals that are very seasoned over years and years and years, who have seen shit, who may very well not like what you do. And all you can do is just take those notes and learn from it. So if you're going to be on the receiving end of that opinion, get ready. If you want to work in the industry, thicken your skin up quite a bit. You're going to need to. Because everyone gets told something. How many times when we were writing our project out, did our partners tell me they didn't like something that I wrote? It happened a lot. I mean, I change things constantly. So,
A good example of this, we've mentioned him on the show before, but I'm not going to bring it up by name again at this point in time. But there is a filmmaker out there that produces his own movies, and most of them wind up on YouTube, right?
oh God,
Doesn't cost anything to watch, and
didn't
for
cost
lack
anything to
of
film either.
yeah, for lack of a better term, they're terrible from an objective standpoint, right? There's just they're not
Oh,
good in any way, shape, or form, from acting to production. It's all backyard stuff. But
yep. But how many features does this man have?
like 12.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the message, right? It doesn't matter what I say or how I feel. It wouldn't matter what Roger Ebert says or feels, or how is it Siskel and Ebert are the only like professional movie reviewers that I go back to?
Oh, well, the thing is also Roger Ebert, like he only has one film he's ever made, to my understanding, and it was a disaster.
Yeah, I think that sounds familiar. But the point is, no matter what anybody says, this guy loves what he does. And I'm pretty sure he looks at the comments and he's like, oh, wow, everybody thinks this is crap. Well, you know what? It's what I like to do. So he does it. And every time that his work is mentioned, or, some friends and I get together and watch them for a good laugh, the only thing, the thing we say every time, even after all the criticism, is, you know what? He's doing it. He's making his movies, and he's doing it his way. I mean, they're not good, but he's doing it, and you can't take that away from somebody.
Absolutely.
So, if you're ever put in a position where criticism is a part of your life for what you do, well, that's pretty much everybody. Let's see. If you're ever put into a position where you're an artist and people are talking about your stuff, whether it's a YouTube video you put up and the comments are there, or if it's a major studio, big time distribution release, you say you're making the next summer blockbuster. At some point, whether it's the armchair critics on the internet or if it's the ones that get paid to do it regularly, realize that at the end of the day, you have to live with what you made.
Yep.
They don't. If you're happy with your product, then ignore 100% of the comments. If you want to expand your horizons just a tad, only listen to the ones that have something to say. And literally every other time, if somebody just has a short comment without going into any kind of explanation other than this movie sucks, those can be ignored 100% of the time, no matter what the scenario is. Because if you're not willing to put the time in to explain why something is bad, then nobody should put the time in to give a damn about that comment.
Absolutely.
That's yeah, I think that pretty much wraps everything up.
I think so.
Well then, Mr. Brandon Man, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, you can find the WADcast on Facebook under facebook.com/the WADcast. You could also find us on Instagram. Same thing, Instagram.com /the WADcast. Both you'll see like the black picture with the white label in it that has the title WADcast in it. You can find me on Instagram, bjacksman82. But and yeah, that's where you can find me. Josh, what about you?
Well, as always, you can find me on Twitter at SkidComic or at WADcast. At the WADcast? Yeah, that sounds right. Or at Semicore Studios. You can go to Facebook and of course, the WADcast or Semicore Studios. That way you can find out when we go live each and every week. For the WADcast, it is 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. I almost said Central. No, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Every Friday night, it is the WADcast, Writers, Actors, Directors Podcast. And, of course, all those little jobs. No, there are no little jobs, but all those jobs in between that help bring all of the Hollywood magic to life. If you like what we do and you're into, say, T-shirts, you can always go to tpublic.com/user/semicore and order some really cool WADcast merchandise. There's a pretty nice homage to Clerks, in shirt form. And there are other items there that are just adorned with the logo from the WADcast and Semicore Studios. If you want to throw a couple of ducats into the tip jar, you can always go to patreon.com/semicore. There's a few tiers. Again, I'm not one to pimp out pages like Patreon, but yeah, I just figured I'd throw the hat out there and see if anybody wants to drop a couple of bucks in there. Why not? See what happens. In the meantime, it's time for final thoughts. As mentioned before by Mr. Brandon, talking about the final thoughts on the show every week, the message hasn't changed. The only thing standing between you and your dreams is you. That's right. If there's something you want to do, if there's something you want to make, do it. Make it. Critics be damned, professional and amateur alike. You're the one that wants to do the thing that you do. So why don't you do that voodoo that you do so well? In the meantime, I can't wait to see you next week when we come back with the WADcast, episode number 62. This has been the WADcast. I've been Josh. Brandon,